Hello, welcome to my basement gym. I am Chris, and we'll get started with some yoga today. I will use a block and a strap, and I also have doubled up on my mats because I do have a hard floor. If you are on a hard floor, take advantage and have two mats, or they do make thicker ones, or even lay down a towel and then put your mat on top of it. Or if you're on a padded floor, wonderful, that should do you well. We're going to go ahead and start seated today on our blocks. Now, if you need a block because you're like me, and if you sit, the knees tend to pop up, the block will help elevate you so that way your hips can be rotated forward, allowing your hips to open and your knees to drop down. Just try not to sit squarely on top. Sitting on the edge of it will allow you to let those knees fall forward and open up. So, let's find ourselves comfortable on our blocks. Feel free to cross your legs crisscross further out. You can line up one heel in front of the other. If you are comfortable and a bit more flexy, you can come into half lotus or lotus. What feels good for you? Again, always remember, there's no right, no wrong, just different. Find what feels good for you, and let's find ourselves comfortable seated right now. Taking out all those external thoughts and just putting them aside and focusing on our breathing. As we inhale fully and exhale fully. Let's just close our eyes. Just kind of give ourselves a little body check. Maybe seated, we feel a little tension within one knee or the other. Feel free, if that is what is going on, you may sit with the leg that's a little bit more stiff, extended. That can give that knee a break. Maybe the shoulders are a little tight, a little sore today. Maybe the hips are a little tight, a little sore. Make those little mental checks so that when we do come into a pose, that may challenge those areas. Take a breath. Come into the pose a little slower. Allow the stretch to happen, don't force. Just take note and know that every day may be a little different from the others. So you may have great balance, you may have great flexibility, maybe today you're a little tight, or things flow a little easier. Take it for what it is and let go of all expectations. As we breathe, feel the belly raise and fall as we inhale and exhale. Try to make that breath fill the belly more than lifting our sternum. The sternum can lift, but I would love it if, like filling a pitcher of water, we fill our lungs from the bottom up. And with each exhalation, let's release all those stressful thoughts. Release the tension within our facial muscles. Let the shoulders fall away from our ears. Let the hands be soft. They may rest on our knees. They may rest in our lap. Good. Let's look over our right shoulder and center and left and center. Again, 2 more times. Each side. Just releasing some of that neck tension. And now chin to chest, using our ears as our pivot point as we drop our chin and lift. Lift. One more time, dropping our chin and lifting our chin. Let's level out our head as we pour water out of the right ear and center and left ear and center. 2 more times. Last one. Feel free to open your eyes, bringing hands to heart center as we come up through the middle. Elbows close, bringing them to chin height or eye height. Open up like a book, and then casting our arms out. Through the middle again. Open like a book, casting out, and through the middle. 2 more times. Open. Good. 1 more time. Good. Let's keep our right fingertips down as we sweep up. Reaching towards our right. Sit bones are level. And changing sides. Left hand down. Reaching up and over, keeping the right sit bones anchored on the floor or on the block. Again, each side, 2 more times. Up and over, separating the ribs, hips are down and level. And other side. Good, last time right and left. Don't worry if your hand can't go flat. Feel free to make a little tripod. Good. And then just a little small twist, not fully, side to side. Just waking up here, okay? Not a big twist. Just a tap to the side of the knee. 1 more time. Right and left. And coming back center. Let's take the fingertips out front and rounding the spine, not hinging. We're just going to round forward. Fingertips supporting us and just tucking our chin to our chest. Now walking ourselves back up. Fingertips making a tripod behind and open the chest. And 1 more time. Rounding that spine over, tucking the chin, and now lifting up and coming behind and lifting our sternum to the ceiling. Good. Coming into easy seated twist to our right. Let's lay the right hand on the floor, elbow next to the body, left hand outside the knees. We inhale. And as we exhale, let's slowly bring the shoulders and chin around. Breathing into the rotation, inhaling. And as we exhale, let's release back to center as we prepare for our left. Inhale. And exhale slowly into our twist. Just holding briefly at this time. Inhaling. And exhale, releasing. And 1 more time, coming to the right. Inhale. And exhaling into our rotation. Sit bones level. Inhale. And exhaling as we release. And changing sides. 1 last time. Inhale. And exhaling into our rotation. And exhale. Release. Let's change what foot is in front. Changing the sensation of our seated twist. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale, release. Changing sides. Inhale and exhale. Inhale. And exhale, releasing, and coming back to our right. 1 more time each side. Inhale and exhale. Just flowing through our rotations right now. Inhale and exhale. And coming back to center. And 1 more time, a seated half moon. Up and over. And changing sides. And 1 more time, right and left. And back to center. Good. Let's bring the soles of our feet together for cobbler pose. Feel free to hang on to the ankles or the big toes. Feet can be out further or tucked in closer. It is what feels comfortable for you. And let's bounce those knees. Nice, tight, quick little bounce, getting them to forget that they're tight. It's a little distracting. Kind of helps change the mind's set on what is tight and what's not. Good. Let's quiet our legs and preparing for that hip hinge. Remember, we're not going to round at our spine. Keep that spine lifted. Inhale, and as we exhale, reaching our sternum forward. Good. Try to keep the gaze about 3 to 4 feet out in front of you. That keeps you from dropping your chin. We don't want to tuck the chin to the chest. Pretend like we got a softball between our chin and our sternum. Breathe. Now, if you can let your elbows come out and gently press the knees closer to the mat. I am not hinged over quite enough, and I have short little arms, so my elbows can't reach, but I can rest like this, and that can help put just a little bit of pressure on those knees. Breathe. Inhale. Now holding here. Exhale, and let's round over. Just like what we did earlier, allowing our hands to come in front, giving us just a wee bit of support. And now lifting out and coming back into a hinge and feeling the change within that stretch. Good. Inhaling, forward fold. Exhaling as we lift. And let's bounce those knees again. Get them to forget that they're tight. Breathe. And let's quiet the hips. And again, preparing for that hinge at the hip joint, inhaling. And then as we exhale, remember, keeping our gaze about 3 to 4 feet out in front of us. We're not allowing the chin to come down. We've got a softball right underneath our chin. Hinging at the hip joints. Gently pressing our knees a little closer to that mat. And again, feel free, you may use your elbows or using your forearms if you're kind of short-armed like I am. Breathe. And then again, one more time. Inhaling as we prepare to round over. And as we exhale, rounding over, allowing the fingertips to come out in front of our feet to give us a little bit of support. Shaking the head side to side as if saying no. And nodding as if saying yes. Let's roll up all the way, coming out of the fold, out of the hinge, and coming off of our blocks. Let's have a seat. Oh, shake out those legs. Let's have a seat in seated staff. Having our straps handy. If you like it, or the strap comes around the ball of each foot. We're sitting up nice and tall. Now, if sitting like this, you feel like you're hunching over, go ahead and sneak a pillow and sit underneath. The only difference is, instead of me saying for you to have your legs actively engaged in the floor, think of hugging your thigh muscles to the bone, okay? I just want us to protect our knees from hyperextension. So if you need to, sneak that pillow underneath your hips to release that tension in the low back. Otherwise, if you can sit up tall, let's sit up nice and tall. And again, activate those leg muscles, pressing the backs of the legs into the ground, or hugging those thigh muscles to the bone. Feet flexed. Inhaling. And as we exhale, again, it's a hinge at the hip joint. Let the gaze be past the feet, just a few feet. Again, we have that softball underneath our chin, so we're not digging it into our chest. Back of our neck is long. It's in line with our spine. It's not leading in front. Breathe. Good. Inhaling. Now, as we exhale, like we did earlier, let's round over the legs. Feel free to walk the hands down the strap. If you can wrap them around your feet, wonderful. If you can't, Just let your hands walk down the straps so you can passively hang on. Feeling that wonderful stretch down the backs of our legs into our low back. Inhale and exhale. Let's lift up, leaving our strap right here as we come into just a chest expansion that's kind of like an upward plank. Again, fingertips are pointing towards our gluteals, walking the hands back, and the shoulders are over the hands as we press through the floor and open the chest to the ceiling. Think of lifting the sternum up, scooping out through the abdominals. Try not to flare the ribs so much that the belly sticks out. Pull that belly in. Make this from the rib cage up and opening up the chest towards the ceiling. Good. Inhale and exhale. Let's do that one more time. Forward fold. Inhaling as we lift. And exhale, hinging forward. Our gaze is past our feet, just a couple feet. Again, our neck is in line with our spine. It's not leading. And we're holding that softball underneath our chin. Inhaling as we prepare to round over. And as we exhale, let's round over, walking our hands down the strap. Feel free to grab the feet if you can, or just hanging onto the strap. Let the grip be passive. Breathe. Legs are active in the floor, shaking the head side to side as if saying no, and nodding as if saying yes. Inhale and exhaling as we lift, releasing that strap, and one more time for that chest expansion. Hands are underneath the shoulders as we press through the floor, opening up the chest to the ceiling, broadening our collarbone. Breathe. Pull the belly muscles in, scoop out, hollowing out through the belly. Inhale and exhaling as we lift. Good. Laying the strap to the side as we work on our hips a little bit. So we come into kind of a Z-sit. Our feet are comfortably apart. We've done this many times before. All we're going to do is let the knees fall towards the right. Just rotate and let them fall over. You'll make a 90-degree bend with one leg, 90-degree bend with the other. This hip is a little tight and it makes me want to fall over, so I'm keeping my hand on the ground to help keep myself lifted. And then we're going to walk over to the other side, allowing our knees to fall over into the Z-sit, 90-degree angles. This hip is not nearly as tight as this, and it's not making me fall backwards, so I can be lifted. Find what works for you. It's not a competition to see, oh, okay, I can do it, and I'm not falling over. If you feel like you're tippy, get that hand right there. Feel free to put your hand underneath the block. The goal is to be lifted, feeling a wonderful stretch within our hips as we transition to the other side. Again, this hip is a little tight for internal rotation, so I'm keeping my hand down. Sternum lifted, breathing into the tension within the hips. Inhale and exhale, transitioning to the other side. Flex the feet, 90-degree bend, sternum up. Let the breath go to the tension within our hips. One more time to each side. Third time's a charm today. Rotate over. Breathing into the tension within that hip. Maybe you find you don't need to use so much force. You can sit up a little bit taller. Inhale and exhale as we change and come to the other side. Last time. Good. Let's go ahead and tuck our knees under. Coming to hands and knees. And sitting back into diamond pose. Now if this is uncomfortable on your knees, feel free to come up onto your knees. And you can always make a little wrinkle into your mat if you'd like. Otherwise, you can be here as we do a front thigh stretch. Again, options. End point will be here, or feel free to either grab your strap or pretend like you're holding a beach ball and you're going to squeeze and open through the chest. So 2 choices today. Front thigh stretch, breathe. Pressing the hands through the floor, opening up the chest, pressing the shins through the floor, lifting the hips upward. If this is uncomfortable on the knees, feel free to come to kneeling and do a chest expansion, hugging a beach ball between your hands behind your back or pulling on that strap. Inhale and exhale, lowering down, coming back to diamond together into hands and knees as we go through cat and cow. Exhaling into cat and inhale into cow. 2 more times. Exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. 1 last time. Good. Pressing back into diamond pose 1 more time. Feel free to come up onto your knees for the chest expansion, or from diamond into front thigh stretch. Breathe. Pressing the shins through the floor, pressing the hands through the floor to open up the chest, or from the knees, imagine squeezing the beach ball behind you or using the strap, opening up through the chest. Inhale and exhale as we come back to hands and knees. And this time, let's walk our knees out into low plank as we draw the hands, draw the shoulders over the hands. Belly button is lifted, lower back is low. Let's lower down and press back up. Extended child pose. Inhale and exhale, cat curl forward. Low plank. Let's lower down briefly. Pressing up and back. Extended child pose. Cat curl forward. Low plank. Extended child pose. 1 last time. Cat curl forward. Low plank. Press up. And extended child pose. Let's cat curl back into low plank as we dig our toes in for downward facing dog. Let's bend one leg for 1 cycle. Inhale and exhale as we bend the other. Breathe. Allow the hips to sink back, your chest sinks through the shoulders, heels raise and lower. 1 more time. Good. Let's sink both heels down, dropping the chest through the shoulders. Let's draw forward into plank and lowering down. Preparing for locust as we bring our hands by our sides, palms facing the ceiling, forehead rests on the ground. Inhaling for the upper body only. Pulling the belly button away from the floor, tucking our tailbone towards the floor. And as we exhale, let the hands reach for the heels, keeping the lower rung of our rib on the ground, thinking of expanding through the chest, and the low back is long. If we like, we can incorporate the lower body as we squeeze, reaching the feet to the wall behind us. Good. Taking our arms out to letter T and drawing back. One more time, letter T, and back. And bring the hands underneath us as we lower down, pressing back into extended child pose. Pressing the mat away, allowing our chest to sink through our shoulders. Breathe. Inhale. Then exhaling, cat curl up to low plank. And preparing for downward facing dog. Toes dig in, hips press up and back, shoulders sinking through the chest. Breathe. Let's raise both heels up and lowering both heels down. One more time. Lift and lower. One more time. Lift and lower. Let's walk our hands towards our feet. Bend those knees if needed. Good. Soft knees. Gentle bend in them. Allow the upper body just to hang, shaking the head side to side as if saying no, and nodding as if saying yes. And now rounding up, one vertebrae at a time, lifting our chin last. Good. Let's come to the center of our mat. I'm going to grab a sip of water. Feel free to grab a drink at any time. So we come to the center of our mat, working on some balancing today with tree pose. Let's find our mountain pose. Feel free, you may have the big toes touching or the feet just hip width apart and underneath the hips. Whatever feels good for you. Let the weight settle into the heels more than into the ball of the foot. Think 60 back, 40% forward. Body weight is down the middle. Now shifting our weight into that right leg. Grow the right foot into the ground. Let it be anchored. Hugging the thigh muscles to the bone. Lifting the kneecap towards our hip and lifting up our pelvic floor. Starting by lifting the left knee and opening up the hip to the side. The toes are down and the heel is on the inside of our shin. Good. We have the hip open. We feel anchored. We may bring that foot up to the inside of our shin, or if you'd like, lifting it to the inside of our thigh. But please promise that you won't have it on the inside of the knee. We want to protect our knees. Good. Breathing into our tree pose. Let's slowly lift the arms up to completion. Knee open. Good. Keeping lifted, lowering the right arm to T. Hands come back to heart center. And release. Shaking out those legs as we prepare to do the other side. Tailbone tucked under. Shifting into our left foot. Lifting up the pelvic floor, lifting the kneecap towards our hip, letting the feet spread out like roots of a tree. Again, starting by just lifting the right knee and opening to the side. Bringing the the ball of the feet down on the floor. Heel is on the inside of our shin. Finding our balance, hugging hugging muscles to the thigh bone. We can lift that foot up to the inside of our shin or to the inside of our thigh. Again, try not to have it on the inside of the knee, like right here. That's not a good spot. I'm going to go low on this side. This side tends to be my tougher side. So again, no right, no wrong. We're all different. It's okay. Let's slowly complete our tree. Extend the arms slowly through the middle, working with our balance. Now, lowering the left arm down to T. And then bringing hands to heart center. It's okay if your she sways. And then release. Shake it out. Finding that balance. Good. Coming back to our mountain pose. Let's step our feet generously apart. We're going to go 4 to 4.5 feet. Nice and generous. Remember, if you're longer legged, you can get a little bit wider. We're just going to go through some warrior poses. So hands to heart center. Let's turn our left toes out fully, or right toes out fully, left toes turn in slightly. Keeping our hips squared. We're going to squeeze the glutes, keeping our tailbone underneath. Hands at heart center as we reach out equally in opposite directions and bringing a bend to our right knee. As we look at our right knee, we can see our big toe just inside our right knee. Our right knee isn't drifting in, covering up our toe. We're using our gluteus to pull that knee back. Our gaze is just over the back of our right hand. Breathe. Warrior 2. Our thigh muscles are hugging the bone. Nice and strong. Coming into reverse warrior as we sweep up, lift up, dropping this hip down. Now extending our reverse warrior by straightening the right leg. Good. Bringing a bend back to our right leg in reverse warrior and returning to warrior 2. One more time. Reverse warrior, sweep, lift up, keeping this hip down. And now extending, lifting, straightening the leg. And coming back to warrior 2. And into side angle pose. Start by giving ourselves a hug around the ribs, elbow by the ear, and dropping the right hip. Breathe. Let's extend that right leg one more time. And extend the right arm, framing our face as we lift up and lower the arms. Changing sides. Turning our left toes out fully, right toes in slightly. Holding those belly muscles in, tucking our tailbone under. Hands at heart center. And our arms reach out equally in opposite directions. Bringing a bend into our left knee, we can see our big toe. And our gaze is out over the top of our left hand. Warrior 2. Inhaling. And as we exhale, rotate the palm over, keeping this hip down as we come into reverse warrior. Let's extend reverse warrior by straightening the leg. Breathe. Bringing a bend back to our leg as we return slowly to warrior 2. One more time. Coming to reverse warrior. Reach, lift, holding this hip down. And extending the leg. Opening up through the ribs. And bringing the bend back to our leg. And returning to warrior 2. Coming into side angle pose. Let's start by giving ourselves a hug. Elbow by the ear. And reach. Dropping the left hip down. Breathe. Side angle. Let's straighten out that left leg. Bringing the left arm by the left ear, then lifting back up and lowering down. Toes turned out to the corners as we get ready for forward fold. If you would like the block here, feel free to sneak that block. But you don't necessarily need it. You can rest in waterfall. Inhaling and exhale. Hip hinge forward. Bringing the hands to the floor, or if they don't touch, resting in waterfall. Those thigh muscles hug the bone, taking the workload of this forward fold. Let's take our feet, lift a heel and rotate the heel outward. Same thing with our other leg, allowing us to deepen that forward fold. And if you can come down onto your forearms. You can grab the ankles, gently drawing yourself through even further. Or hang in waterfall. Allow gravity to pull you forward, but always hugging those thigh muscles to the bone. We're not letting the weight of our body settle out in the outside edges of our feet. The inside edges are as heavy and grounded as the outside. Breathing into the tension. Good. Let's walk our hands over towards our right shin or the right toes. Putting a bend in that right knee just a little, and then straighten. If you're up here, that's all right. You can put a bend and straighten. One more time. A bend in the right knee and straighten. Let's walk ourselves over to the other side. Again, if you can't touch the floor, that's okay. Bring your hands to your shins right here. And we're going to bend the knee. And straighten. Bend. And straighten one more time. Bending. And straightening. Let's walk back to center. Toe heel in. So either you can't touch the floor or you have to bend the knees just a little bit to get your fingertips to touch. Dropping the head through the shoulders, shake it side to side. And now nodding as if saying yes. Good. Rounding up, one vertebrae at a time. And lifting our chin last. Good. Facing the end of our mat. Forward fold. Our hands are just going to frame our foot as we step back with the leg closest to each other. Dropping our knee down as we come to crescent pose. Arms sweep up. Let's bring the arms down to goalpost. Again, tailbone is tucked under, feeling that delicious stretch right here. And now lacing our hands behind our back. If we can grab our fingertips, wonderful. If we can't, hug that imaginary beach ball between your hands. Try not to flare the ribs. Keep the belly scooped. Make this about stretching through the chest, as well as deepening that stretch within our hip flexor. Good. Releasing the hands, bringing the hands inside the big toe. So we just sneak the leg back a little bit more and sink that inside hip down. It's okay if this knee falls away from our shoulder, allowing ourselves to sink a little bit deeper for our hip stretch. Let the breath go to the tension. Just pretend like you want to tuck your shoulder underneath that knee. If you want, you can take the same hand, wrap it underneath and around to touch your pinky toe. Let's walk the hands back around to frame the foot as we curl under the toes, lifting our knee. Let's step back into plank and briefly downward facing dog. Shifting our weight back into our hips, not loading in our shoulders. We're able to pick up our hands. Breathe. Let's walk our feet up towards our hands, into forward fold. Exhale, inhale, reversing that fold. As we do the same thing, other side. Inhale, lift. Exhaling as we fold, bending our knees, and then stepping the leg furthest from each other back, coming into crescent. Tailbones tucked under, feeling that delicious stretch within our hip. Coming down into goal post. Pushing those elbows back, opening up through the chest. Let's cast those arms out, either hugging that beach ball or lacing up the fingertips, opening up through the chest while still tucking our tailbone under. Breathe. Inhale and exhaling as we release, bringing our hands inside the big toe and allowing our hip to sink down. This knee can fall away from the shoulder, deepening the stretch within our hips. Feel free to move around a little bit. And then again, if you'd like, you may take this hand, wrapping it around to touch the pinky toe. Let's unwrap the leg, hands frame the foot as we curl our toes under, lifting the knee, stepping into plank, and briefly downward facing dog. Good. Let's walk the feet in, bending our knees generously, and sitting back into a low Hindu squat. Let's have a seat. Hands behind the knees. Let's uncurl down just till the tops of our hips touch, hollowing out for our belly muscles, and then rolling back up. Now you can let go instead of support, making the belly do all of the work, and rolling up. 2 more times. Uncurl down and lift. 1 last time, hollowing out through the belly as we uncurl down just to the tops of our hips, and then curling back up. And now this time, uncurl all the way down. And coming into final relaxation. Lift the shoulders, realign the spine. Maybe you need to lift the hips. Shake them out. Let's draw the feet up briefly. And like we did earlier, we're just going to drop a knee and then change sides. 1 more time, 1 last stretch for our hips before we call it a day. Let's allow our knees to fall away from each other. And now the foot in front can lift and rest on the knee. Now if that makes your ribs flare up like this, you can take the block and place it underneath the hip, or just take that foot totally off. Rather have the ribs anchored down than have this much of a rotation, because we're losing all the benefit if we allow those ribs to flare. So keeping those ribs down. Breathe. Let's release. And just a couple times side to side before we hold. And now bring the knees towards each other. And then again, the foot can lift and rest on the knee. Again, but if that pulls you up, you may take the foot off or really focus on concentrating on anchoring the ribs so we feel the benefit of that stretch for those internal rotators. Good. Let's release our foot. And just a couple side to side. And now coming into final relaxation, let's straighten out the legs. Let the feet be comfortable distance apart, palms facing the ceiling. As we bring our focus to our breathing, as we inhale fully and exhale fully. With each exhalation, let the tension fall away from our face muscles, our stomach muscles, feeling our chest get soft. With each exhalation, let that softness radiate out through the arms and legs, fingertips and toes. Allowing with each breath for us to melt into the floor. And slowly wiggle the fingertips and toes. Bringing our soles together, our hands together, gently rubbing to create some warmth. Shielding our eyes with our hands, allowing our eyes to open as we draw our knees in. Cradle rocking side to side, starting with the knees high up on our chest, and then allowing that rock to fall away. And draw knees in and release. And if you like, tucking in, rocking and rolling to seated, bracing with the belly muscles at the top of our rock. And joining me in easy seated. Namaste. I hope you enjoyed that class. Look forward to seeing you again. And again, I will be at Collins Aerospace every third Saturday until fall, and then we'll probably start having assists back in, and our schedule will be back to more of a normal routine. So hang in there, and I hope you enjoy, and we'll see you later.